to QuickBooks. And also you have Smart Sheets and other options. You have from the web as well. You can also link, just grab some website link and link it to Power BI. But then for the web, if you have a data that is freely available without any protection or let's say password for you to access, you can bring it to Power BI freely and that's easy. But sometimes some data you have to sign into a particular website before you can actually get it. So that one too is there. You have to get the necessary permissions before you can bring in that data. Yeah, and a whole lot of other options here as well. Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, the options are many. There are many. So, but then you can't use all of them. You just be using a few if you are doing data analysis. The options are a lot. Lot. Okay. So now that is the end here. We have several of them. Several of them. Yeah, that's fine. So when you click, these are the various categories of these data sources. Okay, these are the various categories. So if you click on file, for files, we can bring in from Excel Workbook, CSV, XML, JSON, PDF folder. When you click on databases, these are the categories for databases. Okay, you can bring in all this SQL Server database. You remember we installed SQL Server, so we'll be using it. All right, so we have Oracle, we have IBM, we have Postgres, Sybase, Teradata, HANA, and Amazon Redshift. Yeah, so you can also bring in data from AWS services as well. You have Google BigQuery, you can bring in from GCP, that's Google Cloud. And also Amazon Athena, we have at scale, we have other options here as well from the databases. And also you can bring in data from Microsoft Fabric. Fabric. So these are part of the Microsoft Cloud Services products that you can use. I've tried data flows before, and also data warehouse as well, and lakehouse. And also we can bring in from Power Platforms. Okay, these are some of the Power Platforms where you can bring in data for. And also, these are Azure services, Microsoft Azure services. You can bring in data from here. And now, these are online services. Okay. And here is other. So, other sources. Yeah. So, and then when you click on all, everything is put together here. So, you select what you want. Okay. Yeah. So, I'll cancel this. And I clicked here to bring those things up. I clicked here to bring these sources up. But then I can also use this get data part. Okay, let me try zooming in a bit. Yeah, I can use this get data option here to get the same things I got from here. Okay, so this is get data. And if you check here, you have some uh, more or less like some of them pinned over here for you. We have Excel Workbook, we have OneLake, we have SQL Server, we have database. These ones are like more or less like pinned there for you to make you access it easily. Okay, and assuming I want to get the data using the get data option here, and my options or the sources I want, I'm not seeing them in the available ones up here. I can just go to click on the more there. Okay, so click more. Realize that when you click more, you are still seeing the same sources that you you got them by clicking this get data from another source. Okay, so we have several options of you getting your data. All right, and even sometimes when you launch Power BI, initially it will ask you to get data. Yeah, if you want it that way, fine. But you can also cancel it and come open it, then go through these processes that you are going through to pick your data. So any of the three options you want. First option is here. Second option is get data, and third option is when you launch Power BI first, it provides you the option to get the data. So assuming I'll close this, okay, I'll just close this. I will not save this one. I already have Power BI open here. So I'll open a new file. I'll open a new file, and when it's finished loading, it will ask us to get data from the start. So let's see. I have about three different instances running. That's why it's a bit slow. So you realize that here it's asking us to get data. Okay. So you have get data, and also you have recent sources. So when you click on get data here, it still bring you these options. Okay. So this is also another way. So you have three different ways for you to get your data. I hope this is clear. All right. So now I'll cancel and I prefer using the get data option, even though any of them will do. I prefer using the get data. So I'll go to more and I'll bring in an Excel workbook. Okay. I'll bring in an Excel workbook. So I'll go to connect. By clicking on connect, it's bring you this menu. I want to pick it from my GitHub folder that I created. So here I have my GitHub folder and my test repo, and I have the data here. So I'll then open. Okay, you click on the open there. Then now it's loading your data into Power BI. It's loading the data into Power BI. Okay. So for here, I'll select the survey data. All right. I'll select this one, and I also select the one we coded. Okay. So we have this as well. We have all of them. So I'll then go to transform data. It can either load directly or transform. If you want to load directly, that means the data doesn't need to be go through transformations. More or less like the data is clean already. So you just want to load it. But if you want to transform, that means you want to do some transformation on that data. You want to clean it, look at a lot of things about it before you actually load it. So now we are in the transformation interface. So here, this transformation interface or view you see here is Power Query. This is Power Query in Power BI. You realize that we explored Power Query in Excel small, and this is Power Query in Power BI. Okay, so here, I will, I want to I won't do anything here. Let me just refresh. I won't do anything here. I will just load. Okay, I'll go to the the home option. Okay, this home option here. I think my recorder is not capturing the home. All right, so the home option here before the transform tab or after the file tab. Okay, so when you click on the home there, when you click on the home, you now see close and apply. When you close and apply, that means you are telling Power BI that, oh, okay, I'm done with the transformation. So I want to close it and I want the transformation to take effect. That is the apply. It must take effect on the data set that you've loaded into Power BI. So if you've changed some things, maybe change the dates, change maybe some number format that way in text to number, then it will now recognize it as number instead of text. So it's now accepting those transformations you've done. Okay. if you want to just go to apply, you can apply directly. Like tell Power BI, oh, I want to now uh, accept. I want you to accept these transformations I've done, but don't close yet. Okay, you can also say that, oh, now close. By telling Power BI, oh, even though I've done some transformations, but I don't need them, just close it for me. When it's close it, then it takes you into the other views. Okay, so now for me, I'll close and I'll also apply, which means I want Power BI to let my transformations I've done so far take effect, even though you've not done any transformation, but I'll come back to this. I want Power BI to let this take effect and at the same time close when those transformations have been taking effect. Okay, so I'll close and apply. When you close and apply, you realize that it's saying, oh, there are pending changes in your queries and that's having been applied and it's loading and you see apply changes and discard changes and all those things. All right, so now it's loaded. Okay, when it's loaded, you it takes it, you realize that you are not in the Power Query mode anymore. We are in a different view. Let me explain more about this these views that we have. So first of all, when you look at the top right before below the file, okay, below the file you have where my mouse cursor is, we have this. Okay, we have, when you hover on the graph icon there, you have reports view. This is the report view you are seeing. Okay, this is the report view you are seeing. So here it tells you, oh, build visuals with your data. Select or drag fields from the data pane onto the report canvas. So when you bring a data here, it begins to help you with the visuals you want to build, or you now can build your own visuals and pick the kind of charts and whatever you want from this. You have these visuals here. You have, when it comes to these visualization tabs, these are all visuals you can pick for your dashboard you want to build in Power BI. Okay, so this is the report view. This is where you see whatever visualizations or dashboards you've built in Power BI. You also have the table view. Okay, that's where you see your data. Okay, the data you've brought in, you see it here. Someone will say the data view, or yeah, I nearly said data view, but they call it table view. But apparently, what you see is just the data you've brought in. You realize that the one that is highlighted is the one that is showing here. The data that is highlighted, this one, see, this one is highlighted in gray. Okay, so it tells you that the data that is being shown is the coded survey data. If I click on the survey, it now shows just the survey data here, right? Okay, so that is it about this. So you see this data pane here where we're able to see your data. You can also click down. Okay, when you click down the arrow here, when you click on the arrow here, you see the various headings that you have in your data here. Okay, they are also showing up here, but you can see them here. Okay, you can see them here. All right, so and the same thing applies to this. When you click, you see your headings, and you also have this uh, model view. Model view. Here, I can now create relationships among my data. Okay, I can model the data by, you come back to those ones in detail, but let me just give a fair idea. So assuming I have gender, I want to visualize gender breakdown. I need to create something called dimension table for gender. And maybe I want to visualize this data based on, let's say, the companies these people are working in. I can just create a dimension for the various companies. Assuming I have like 10 companies, I can give them IDs or if they have IDs already in the data, I use their IDs and their names and create a dimension table. Okay, we have different types of tables. We have fact tables and we have dimension tables. Okay, you explore those ones later, so don't be confused. All right. So now, with the model, now if I have my assuming this is my dimension table, I can now, let's say age. Okay, so these ones are not really dimensions in fact, but I just want you to have a fair idea how it works. So I can, if I want to create a relationship between this survey and coded survey, I can drag, okay, this age, click and hold and drag to this part. When you drag, you realize that it puts some border around it, dotted border around it, and it tells you that, oh, it's ready to accept that relationship. So it's when you release, it loads, and now this one, it's many to many. You come back to the different types of relationships as well. So it's many to many. So it's warning me, do I want to add this relationship or not? But for now, I'll just add. Okay, I'll just say okay. And it should show you something. So here, it shows that now these two data are linked or connected. So the modeling is just a way of linking data sets together so that when you can place filters, okay, you can place or you can filter them at the same time. All right, so let's not delve into this much. You come back to it as I said. So this is just about creating a relationship between different types of data to help you filter and get the necessary insights you want. All right. So that is it. And also, you also have DAX query here. Here you really have to worry. I installed an external tool that gives me this. So this one, don't worry about it. So just focus on these three: the model view, the table view, and the report view. With this one, when we are done and we are really know our way with Power BI or what about with Power BI, then we can look at how to use the external tools to increase our productivity so that you don't have to be repeating ourselves and you can just copy and paste whatever measures and tables you've created so that you work faster. All right, so I think we are clear with the report view, the data view, and the model view. Okay, now realize that when you click on each of them, uh, just observe. Do you see some changes in the icons that you see up here? So you are in the report view. In the report view, you see the home, insert, model view, optimize, and all this. If I click on the data view, you see that it doesn't show me all of them. The data view just shows me home, help. This external tool you won't see in your Power BI. I brought it. And also you see table tools. Okay. All right. So you have to be mindful of where you are. You can be in the data view or table view and you want to go to the report view and you feel like you are lost and you don't know what to do. So make sure you know your way about how to use these things or these different views. When you are in model view, you see that you also see this home, the help, and that is all. These external tools, as I said, you will not see on your Power BI. And also gives us a couple of things here. All right. So that is, you also have manage relationship because you are in the model view. So you can manage the relationship. This relationship that you created here, if I don't want it, I can just select it. Okay, make sure it's selected and I'll delete it from here. Okay, so I'll delete that relationship. All right, then I'll close. Then it's have to load. Okay, so it's loading, and when it's loading, that you see that the relationship is no more. Also, I can just uh initially, okay, let me just create a relationship between the gender here. Then I'll remove it by just dragging it off. Okay. Instead of you having to go to the manage relationships before you can take it. So here you see that I can right click when I hover on this uh link or this relationship or this link is more or less like it's linking to the other one. So when I hover on this, you can right click, okay, right click and what delete. So now delete relationship, and now that is gone. Okay, so that is it. I think. So I think this is fine. This is fine for now. At least you know some basics about the different views and what they are, and the necessary things you can do there. Here you can build your dashboards or visuals. Here you can explore your data, and here you can create your relationships or model your data. You call it data modeling. Okay, data modeling is just about you creating a relationship between your data set you have. All right, so that is it. Please, if you have questions about this, ask them, then we answer before we move on to bringing the data in. Oh, sorry, you already have our data before we do other things. Yeah. Is it clear? Do you have any confusions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tried loading the Excel worksheet,
Mm-hmm.
and the feedback I got was there are pending changes in your queries that haven't been applied. Then
So
uh,
your Excel workbook is open, right?
uh-huh.
Yeah,
No,
your
it's not
Excel
open.
okay. So there are pending changes. So now apply. Go to apply changes.
Apply changes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's taking a while, but we can go on, and then if I have any other challenge, I'll draw your attention.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay, Ivy and Listowel, do you have any concerns? Ivy, do you understand what you are doing?
So far, so good, sir.
Okay, sure. Ivy, please, let's hear from you as well. If you are confused, let me go over. Hello? Hello, Ivy. Mhm. Maybe Ivy is not with us. Okay, so now let's focus on other things. All right, so um, oh, Shana no, did it. Okay, so let me also show you. All right. So now, when you have the data like this, you can still go back to Power Query and do some transformations on it. Okay. So here, I'll go back to the report view here, or you can just be anywhere. You can just be in the model, the data, or the report view. Then go to transform data. You have transform data. This is Power Query. You see that when you hover on it, use the Power Query editor to connect, prepare, and transform data. So that is Power Query in Power BI. All right. And you realize that there's this refresh button. You can also refresh your data, assuming you've done some changes to the data that you've linked to Power BI. You can refresh it here. Okay. So far you just talk about these two. Then let's move on. So I'll now click on transform data and I'll say transform data again. It opens, it opens, and um, we have our data in Power Query. Okay, like how we loaded it when we brought in the data first. We use the transform data. Then after, even though we didn't do any transformation, but assuming we did a transformation, after the transformation, you press close and apply, then it takes you off from here to the report view or any of the views. Okay. But now we've come back to Power Query and we see our data in these formats. All right. So assuming that this age, let me see, do you have any weird ages here? Let's see. All right. So here is fine. This is our dates. Let's explore the dates too as well. All right. So I think our date two is fine. Um. Hmm. Let's see what we can do with this. Bosnia. Okay. So for here, assuming I want to drop some columns. If I say drop, I just want to delete some columns. I don't need all this data to work with. I don't need all this data to work with. So I can basically see, if I don't need these comments, I can right click on it and what remove. I'll remove it from here and that part is gone. Or I can still maintain it. Okay. I can still maintain it and use a different way to get the data I want to work with. But before that, if you look at the right side of this, where my mouse is hovering, we have the properties. The properties shows the name of the data that you've brought in. Here, the name is survey. The name is survey, which is the same thing here. We can change the name here. Okay. I can say, oh, okay, so mental health, uh, maybe tech survey, sorry, survey data. So I have this data renamed. We realize that it takes effect at this pane. Okay, takes effect at this pane. And in this pane, Power BI they are called queries. So it shows that queries we have two here. Okay, so there's two in in the square bracket there telling you that you have two queries here. It's basically a table. Here is basically a table, okay, showing your data. All right. So let me come back here again. This is the properties, so that is fine. And when you click on all properties, what do you see? All properties here, you can enable load to report, okay, include a report refresh. So here I can uncheck any of these, but I want them to be loaded to report. I want this data to be loaded to the report. I also want to include it in the report refresh. So I won't check any of them. I won't uncheck any of them. I'll just maintain it that way. If we don't need it, we can remove it. Okay, or you can uncheck it and your data will not be loaded. Okay, you will come back to this as well. All right, you come back to this when you are referencing data. You come back to this. So I'll press OK again. But below the properties, you also see the applied steps. You see the applied steps. First of all, we started with the source. When you click on the source, this is what you see. This is what you see. So this is like uh, the steps Power Query went through before bringing the data into this view for us. Okay, you can manually also do this. You can do this. All right, but then let's explore the various steps. So from the source, then to the navigation. So the navigation part, you realize that even though our data is basically the same as what we saw at the final part, but here we are seeing column 1, column 2, 3, 4, up to column 27. Here, you don't need those columns up there. So how can we remove that? And that is what Power BI did by promoting our original column headers as headers. So that one, it used this functionality, use first row as headers. Okay, so that means this promoted headers here, it's happened because Power BI automatically or indirectly use this function to transform or push the headers up there as our headers to replace that column 1, 2, 3, whatever. Okay, so that is the promoted headers. So make sure you understand these steps. And after that, it also made some changes with the types. Okay, when you check these dates, you see that there's an icon ABC 1, 2, 3, ABC and 1, 2, 3. When you check the age, ABC 1, 2, 3. When you check gender, ABC 1, 2, 3. When you check country, so basically, our data, the type of the data is not good for analysis. You have to make sure that you have the data in the right type, either is number, text, or let's say decimals. That if you want, you have to get the data in the right type. Okay, so then Power BI automatically looked at our data and said, oh, okay, I see date, something like date. So I want to change it to the date format for you. Oh, I see age, and age contains things like values. So let me actually make it like a whole number for you. So Power BI look into the various columns and do all those transformations for you. But sometimes, okay, sometimes it won't do everything for you. Some of them will be done automatically, some of them won't be done. So you have to make sure that you are cross checking to get the actual type that will help you make your analysis. So let me click on the change type steps, the step here. So you realize that the date, it had the icon ABC123, but now it's showing something like table around it, table as the icon. So it tells you that Power BI has transformed this date column to a date format. And the age is, it was ABC123, and it's now just showing 123 in some style formats. So it tells you that this one is in a number format now. The gender is just ABC, country ABC, state AB. So automatically it's like Power BI was intelligent enough to transform all these for us with just one step. Okay, with just one step, everything is done for us automatically. But as I said, sometimes you won't get it done. You have to manually do it. All right. So that is fine. Let's check the last apply step. The last apply step. The last apply step is basically the one that I have done. I removed a column from this data. You realize that I took the comments off from this data. Okay. I took the comments off. What if I want to bring it back? I just have to on or click. You see that when you hover on that cross icon here, or more or less like a multiplication sign thing. So that is like an icon for you to remove this step. So when you click there, when you click, that step is removed. And now let me see if you have comment back. So now the comment is now back. Okay. So that is it about the apply steps. And earlier I said that maybe you want to pick the number of rows, sorry, number of columns you want to work with instead of you using the whole data set. What if I want just a few columns to work with to get some insights? What do I do? Okay, so I'll use this icon here. We have choose columns. Okay, we have choose columns. You can also use, sorry, you can also remove columns. But this one is selected. So when you click on remove, it will remove these columns. But if you click on, even though this, you see this, the comment is selected. If you go here and say remove other columns, that means you're telling Power BI that, oh, okay, now I want to keep just the comments, but remove every other column, which is, if you don't take care. Anyway, Power BI gives you the steps. So even when you delete it, you can come back to it. All right. So now I'll remove and other columns. And you realize that I'm just left with the comments. Okay. So that is it. But I don't want this. I'm just showing you. What I want to do is to use the choose columns. So I'll choose the columns that I want to work with. So I'll go to choose columns. Okay. When you click on that, it brings you this interface or this menu. First of all, I will deselect everything. I'll unselect. You see, before they are all selected, I'll unselect everything. Then I always want to make sure I get my dates. If I want to be doing analysis based on dates, get my dates. Let me see. I don't want the age. Alright, okay, let me use the age as well. Okay, I'll go for the gender. I'll go for the country. Um, okay, the states. Again, let's see. Mental health consequence, mental health interview. Let's see. We have, let's say, treatments, and let's say family history. So assuming I want to just use this, I'll just press OK. And now you realize that it gives us another step, remove other columns. Removed other columns. So now we have just a few of them here. Okay. Just a few from the date to the mental health interview. Just a few. I think you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think about 10 or 11 here instead of 20 something. So now, when I'm done this way, I just have to use the close and apply. But before that, I want to also choose the columns I want for the coded survey data. So for the coded survey, I'll basically pick the same thing. Okay. I'll go for the date, age, gender, country, these states. Okay. Then let's say family history, treatments, and the what again. What did I choose? Okay, let me choose mental health physical. All right. So now, tech company. Okay, let's pick the tech company as well. Alright, so I've also selected the columns I want here. Alright, so I'll just click close and apply. Close and apply. And now you see apply changes and discard, but then automatically it does it for me and the changes have been applied. Okay, so now I'll come to the data view. When I come to the data view, you see that this data is now showing just what you've selected to work with instead of everything. Here to the same thing, just what you have selected to work with. Okay, so this is it. And we realize that this dates is showing us the time, sorry, it's showing us the week, the month, and the year. All right, but then I'll just I'll just maintain these dates like how I am seeing it. Okay. So I will leave this as it is. Let's see if we can create some visuals out of this data you've brought in. I'll just use the coded survey. I won't use the mental health. The uncoded one. I won't use the uncoded one anymore. So I'll just use the coded one. Okay. So first of all I want to bring in a table or a matrix table here. Bring in a matrix table. I'll go to the coded survey. I want to bring in the tech company here because it's giving me 1025. It's not giving me their names. And that is also another thing. But let's go for something that you've not coded. So I think you've not coded for the states. So I'll bring in the state first. Okay. So these are the various states we have. So you have the states for the US. So assuming that we want to now find out the various gender breakdown according to states or based on states. So I'll just select the gender and it's showing the breakdown of the gender for the various states. Okay, but I've also coded the country. Did I code the countries? Alright, so I didn't code the countries, so I'll add the countries as well. So I'll bring the country to the rules as well above the states. Alright, so I think the country makes sense more than the states. So I'll take off the states. Alright, so now you just have the countries. If you check, oh sorry, I think the view is too small. So if you check the countries, you have the various breakdown for gender. Okay, here is just doing a sum of the various breakdowns. So we can either show go up or down using this arrow. And you have United States. Even though here you selected particular words, you selected gender, but you don't see a breakdown. You don't see a breakdown for the various gender that you have. It's just showing total numbers for the gender, but this doesn't really make any sense. So in order to get a good visual out of this, we have to create a dimension table for gender and now bring it in here. So you look at that. But then I want to bring in some other things. Okay, so let me bring my data back. I want to check for family history, and this in terms of people that have family history of mental health. For the United States, you have like 329, for United Kingdom 58, and Canada 27. These are the top three. Okay. Or if you want the top five, let's say Germany and the Australia in addition. Okay. So these are the countries. What if I want to do this by the date? Okay, by the date. So I'll take this country off. I'll bring in the date to the rows column. Okay. But this date is showing a whole lot of things. I don't want it this way. So it tells you that these dates we can have the just the year or month for these dates. But as at now we don't have it. Okay. Don't have it. It's just showing dates and this doesn't look great. This doesn't look great. So I'll unselect this. And now let's go back to Power Query and transform the date in there. So I'll go transform data, and for the date, make sure you select it. Okay, select the dates and go to add column. Okay, go to add. Okay, go to add column. Uh, for add column, we have the dates here. So we also have this date icon here. So I'll click down here. Then I want say year out of this date. So I'll say year. Okay. And it creates another column for me with just the year. Here I want to move it to the beginning. Okay. So I'll just right click. Okay, right click on this column and go to move to beginning. But before that, you see that you have a lot of options here. So with this data, you can remove other columns, you can duplicate column, you can add column from examples, you can remove duplicates inside this date, you can remove errors, you can change the type, you can transform it further by rounding it up, absolute value, whatever. Can also replace values. If you have some weird values in there that you want to replace, you can do that. And you can also replace errors. You can group the data. You can fill up and down. You can do pivoting and unpivoting as well. Then we can rename it. We can move, as I said, move to the left, right, beginning or the end. You can also do a draw down and add as a query. These are the options. Okay, but now I want to move to the beginning. Okay, so now we have our year part at the beginning. Okay, what if I want to just get a month? I'll click here again. My add column is already selected. I'll click on the arrow down here, and let's say I want just the, let's say the quarter. Okay, let's say the quarter. Quarter of year. I don't want the start, I don't want the end, I just want the quarter. Alright, so this quarter too, I'll move it to the beginning, right click, move to the beginning. So you have our year and you have our quarter. Okay, so at least you have something to work with. So I'll close and what, apply. Let's allow it to load. Alright, so it seems that is loaded. Um okay, so you realize that we are not seeing that here. Okay, we are not seeing the dates for the year. We are not seeing the quarter we added. Why? Because we chose some columns and we removed others. So in order to bring it, I have to now go back to Power Query. Okay, go back to Power Query, and in this same data, I'll go to the remove other columns. You see that there's this, we have this settings icon there. When you click on the settings icon, you can now make changes to the step that you've already created. So um okay, you have to do it on the coded survey. So let me go back to the coded survey. Alright, so I'll come here. Uh oh, did we do the changes on this one? Oh, I think we did the changes on this one rather, on the non-coded survey. So let's do it on this one. Okay, let's do it on the coded survey. So as I said, go to the column. We are already in Power Query. So go to add column, click on date, then the year, and just the year. Then I'll do it again for the quarter. So I'll click, right click, activate it, go to the date, and do for quarter, and just quarter of year. Alright, so now I'll select these two together and move to the beginning. Okay, to the beginning. Now we have them at the beginning. So let me close and apply. Okay, so now if you check the coded survey, we now have the year here. We now have the quarter as well. So assuming I want to use the year, let me click. This is too big. Let me reduce it small. So I want to use the year. I just want to resize this. All right. So I'll make sure my visualization is showing, and reduce this ones a bit and reduce this to a bit as well. So as I said, I will take the country off. Okay, take the country off. I want to put the year into the rows section. So if you check for 2024, the sum of gender, we don't really need this, so I'll take it off. It doesn't really make sense. So for 2024, number of people surveyed that have, sorry, 2014. I don't know what I'm thinking. 2014, we have 462 with family history of mental health. 2015, we have 26. In 2016, I guess they were now starting the service, so they didn't get much. Or maybe it has really gone down. So this is it for the year. And we can also do further visualizations. So here, I want to maybe filter by a quarter or something. So I will just place in a slicer here, okay? And I'll use the quarter here. Let's put in the quarter here. So this is the quarter. I want to change, I want to change this. I want to change this to the type of slicer. I want to change it here. You see that it's between. So it is between some numbers. So here I want to change it to, let's say, a tile. You can just click this. When you click, things are just changing here. So for first quarter, these were the numbers. For second quarter, these were the numbers. Nothing for 2014. And fourth quarter, third quarter had the most of the surveys coming in. Okay. And first, second, fourth. Alright. So I can also change it to, let's say, a drop down and just select it this way. Okay, but I realize you have some blanks in here. The blank is probably coming in from Excel, just a blank row in Excel. Okay, if there were blank, it should give us some number. Since it's not giving us a number, I'm assuming that it's just a blank row in our sheets that is popping up here. Alright, so I can filter this way as well. Or you can still change your slicer. Make sure you click on the slicer. You can change it to different options. We have drop down, a vertical list as well. Okay. But when I'm using slices, I prefer going with a drop down. Okay. A drop down like this. And that is fine for me. Okay. And with this slicer, you can now filter for the quarters. What if I want to place a slicer for, let's say, uh, that those who work in tech company, but then these ones we brought in as value, so it will not really make sense until or unless we add dimensions table to this coded data before you can make a lot of sense with some of the columns or the items we have here. So let me see if I want to filter by gender, even though the gender is coded. I still want to filter by gender, the various gender. So I'll put it in a slicer. I'll go in, change it, and when you want to change the type of slicer, you can use the visual button. You have the general and the visual. So use the visual and I will go for drop down. So if I want to filter, let's see, this is one. I think we named one for males and two for females. Okay. I don't know. One of them was female and the other was male as well. So here we are seeing the different gender for those who took part in this survey. So for female, let's assume this is female. For female, you have 326 for 2014, 2015, 22, and for males, 128 for, and for some of different gender, you have one for another type of gender, for another one, and for the last you have one, and for seven also three. So that is how we can bring in a slicer to make sure that we're able to filter for different categories of your data. Okay, so I think this is also fine. Um, but before that, before we move on, do you have any questions? Hello? Any further questions? Anyway, I hope you are not lost.
No, we are with you.
You're with you.
But please, do you get what I'm doing? Is it so
Yes,
technical?
yes.
Oh, not so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure, sure. All right. So let's see. This one doesn't look nice, but with time you look at how you can actually style all these things to make it look a bit nicer. Yeah. And with this, okay, you have some of family history. We can actually rename these things. We can rename this. So let's see, instead of sum of, I don't want everybody to see that, oh, I just sum the thing. So I'll just do family history. Okay. So I'll do family history and I'm good to go. This part, if you want to rename it, you can rename it. If you want to rename this gender, you can rename it here as well. Okay. If you want to rename the year, let's say, okay, you have to make sure you are in that particular visual. So if I want to rename the year, so let's say years, or can just say yes, and that is it. So can use this as well. All right. So let's see if you can create some dimension tables so that you can create some basic relationship from the dimension table to this data you are working on. So I'll go back to my file, my Excel file. Okay. Go back to my Excel file. Where is it? Hwɛ no na ɔngye aso ɛ. Alright. Ah. Okay, so you have our data, and I want to now start creating some dimensions here. So based on this, based on this, let's create dimension for the gender, the type of gender. So you have this different type of gender here. So I'll copy this, go to a new sheet. I'll say dimensions, just DIM for short for dimensions. So I'll paste this here as values. Okay. So we have maybe gender, and I'll say gender ID. Okay. So I'll now create this as a table. So I'll turn this into a table. So I'll just press Control T. Okay. When you press Control T, and it's asking you where is the data for your table. So it has selected the data already, as you can see here. And it's also take that my table has a header, and that is true. We have gender and gender ID. Those are the headers we are going to use. So I press OK, and you have a table, nice table here. Okay. So here, no, I want to rename this table. So here I will say DIM gender. Okay. Oh, why is this? Why is it not? Oh, okay. So DIM gender, I won't bring in any space. So DIM gender, I have my table renamed as DIM gender. So you understand why I've done this name here. I've given it a name here. Even though in this sheet it's just DIM. Okay, but I've named this table in Excel as what? DIM gender. Okay. All right, so that is fine. Let's see if we can create another dimension, which is let's see. We have okay, so this is family history. Uh, also like tech company. All right, let's create a dimension, just a basic dimension for those who work in tech company. So here, um, we have yes, yes for one, and no for what? Zero. So here, let's say tech. I'll just name it tech company, and let's say I'll just say I'll just say value or something. Yeah. So I'll now use Control T to turn this one into a table. Okay, so here I'll just rename this one to as tech company. So let's maintain just these two. You don't have a lot of items you can create dimensions with, so let's just stick with these two. So I will save this in Excel. Okay, then close it. I'll close it and go to my Power BI. My Power BI. I'll go, you can refresh here, but I would like to go into Power Query first. Okay, so I'll go to transform data, and all right, we are in our Power Query. So coded survey. All right, so here I want to first of all refresh. Okay, I'll first of all refresh. And ideally, it should have created a source for our data, but I didn't do that, which is terrible. You didn't do that. You don't have any source. You don't have any source data, like something that we can fall back on. We started transforming the actual data you brought in, which is a bad thing. So we should have referenced it and work with it. So I'll just create a reference. I'll go to the source here, okay, and create a reference like this. So reference, okay, and you realize that this reference gives me the source. But this one, I'll go back here. Okay, so I'm in the final step. So here, I won't touch this. I'll say let me say source. Or you can just name it any way it makes sense to you. So I'll now reference the source. Okay. I'll now let me check here. Wow, it didn't give me. Is that we are actually not getting the original source? Yeah, it just gave us the final way. But this has the original source. So now what I would do is to this one that you've already transformed and brought in the quarter, I will just maintain this one as the the way it doesn't really let's survey data. Uh, okay, let me ideally you should have created the source first, but I didn't do that. So here no. Mm, I'll remove all these steps. I'll remove all these steps. So this is the original source of the data. So here I'll say, let me just say main or something. Yeah. So now I'll reference this one. I'll reference this main. Okay. I will not touch this again. I'll just leave it. So this main that I've referenced, I want to now create a dimension for the gender. So dim gender. I'll reference it again. Okay. Then the dimension for, let's say, tech company. All right. So now, dim gender, if I want to continue with that, I have to create, sorry, I have to click here. Anyway, I'm in Kumasi. I have to click here, dim table. You have the table here. Click on the table. Okay. If you click on the table, this is how you see it. This is the sheet itself. You don't want the sheet, okay? You want the table that we named. That is, that one will, please see this one. You see the tech company and the gender here. It's showing everything. You don't want that. You just want the actual table that we named. So you see that one is here, dim what gender. So you rather go with this. So you click on this and it shows here nicely. Here it's taking the first part as the headers. You don't need to use them as use first row as header here. So this is done. Then the tech company. Where is tech company here? Okay, tech company is also here as a table because we renamed it to tech company in Excel. So I'll pick that and we have them also displayed here. So now we are done with our dimensions tables. Okay. So here I will now go back to I'll close it here, close and apply, then go to the report view. And instead of using this numbers to filter, we can use the actual dimensions to filter. So now here, you see that it's giving us issues. All right. So no problem. You fix that. So the first part was the years. Realize that you've changed the data source. Okay. You've changed the data source. You've now done a data transformed. So, uh, okay. All right. Seems there's a problem here. So you have to go back to Power Query to make sure you have the right data. So data transformed. Oh, okay. This is how it's happening. So data transformed. It should be the coded survey data. Okay. Yeah, should be this. And here it has changed the whole thing. So I won't name it data transformed again. I'll just do coded survey data because there's no name that's will conflict with this, so that is fine. So I'll now have to re-choose these columns. Okay. I'll now have to re-choose these columns. So I'll choose the date, age, gender, country, let's say treatment, family history, and let's say tech company, and let's see mental health interviews and mental health consequence. So this is fine. All right. So I want to redo this. So I'll go to add column. Okay. Add column. Then I want to now get the dates, the year alone from the dates. And also I want to get the author as we did earlier from the date again. So just author of year. And I want to now bring these two columns, move to the beginning. Okay, so you have them at the beginning. All right, so this is fine. And you can now close and apply. Close and apply. And okay, so still processing. All right, let's see how you can fix our problems. We have the coded survey data now in here. So here it was the year. I'll take this off and bring the year back to here. And the family history, I'll take this off and bring the family history back here again. Okay, and realize that this is fixed now. But then I don't want to do the year anymore. I want to now use the dimension you created for the gender instead of the year. I want to do gender breakdown. Okay, and we can filter for the year. Can put a filter for the year. So here I'll put the gender name. Okay, so this is the gender name. The gender name. Why is it giving us these numbers? Have we even created the relationships in the first place? Okay, so let's go to the model. Wow, what is happening? So we realize that Power BI is automatically creating some relationships for us over here. Okay, I don't want any relationship with this, with the data you are not working with. So I will delete that. Okay, all right, so that is gone. I can now collapse this whole thing and just put it somewhere. So here, you realize that is let's expand this. When you hover on this, it should show you where it is making that relationship. So it's now doing the gender ID and the gender here. You realize that this relationship is correct because the gender contains values and is the relationship is between this gender that contains values with our gender ID. And our gender ID, you realize that our gender ID, when you check, okay, when you check our gender ID here, let me go to the dates. When you check our gender ID, we have values up to 7. So if it's now creating a relationship with this and those values in the actual data, that means that relationship is fine. So you can work with it. That's how come it's able to pull this number of females with family history, number of gay with family history, number of males with family history, and queer with family history, and all of these are given to you because you've done those relationships. What if you want to now look at our relationship again? So here, the tech company could not link. Why? Let's see. So here you have to do it manually. So even though we have values here, the numbers, they are just numbers. When you see that sigma sign before it, that means it tells you the values in there are numbers. Okay, the values in there are numbers. Age is a number, family history is a number, whatever is a number. All right. And so now we want to do this manually. So I'll grab this value from here and I'll put it on top of the tech company, which is also a value or contains values. So I'll drag it and drop it over there. You realize that it creates a relationship. So here it creates one to many, relationship. Here it's the items. If you check yes is only one here. Okay, yes with a value of 1 is just one here. So it's here one, but here there are many. There are many yeses over here. And the same thing is if you pick no, the no here is just 1. Okay, in these values, when you check, let's go there. Let's go there to the dim tech company and show it. Dim tech company. See that the value we have here is 1 and no is 1. So when you come to this relationship, it tells you that there's 1 here. This 1 shows that it's 1 and the star shows what? Many. So this shows 1 to many relationship. And this is same 1 to many relationship. So let's explain for the gender as well. When you check the gender, the dim gender, okay, this female has just one instance here. Female with a gender ID of 1 is just 1 here. Okay, male with gender ID of 2 is just 1 here. But if you go to the actual way data sets, the actual data sets, the coded survey data, if you check gender, look at when you filter for just 2, which is male, there are many here. Okay, there are many here. So that is how come that 1 to many relationship is happening. So you're just picking one item from here, okay, from here, which is 2, and linking it to what? Many gender, which is associated with 2 from here. So I hope that relationship thing is clear. 1 to many, okay. So far you've covered 1 to many relationships. Okay, so that is what is happening here. So this is 1 to many. This is also what? 1 to many. So you have your relationships covered. Okay. So now I'll come to the report view again. I want to also bring in the tech company. So I'll just select tech company here. So this is, even though we have for still this is the for tech company. Okay, for the tech company you have those who selected no. For female, those who selected no, they don't work in a tech company, they are 38. For females, those who selected yes, 94, works in tech company. For males, 60 said no, and 289 said yes, they are working in tech company. And these rest are just low values. Yeah. So I hope this is clear, right? I hope this is clear. So I realize that I'm trying to do a count for this, but it's not giving me any useful or meaningful visual. Sometimes you just have to experiment some of the things and see what makes sense to you. So this tells you uh, I can put it in values here and just drop it in the column side, and I can do so let me do a count here. This doesn't make sense as well. So I think this one has to go with something. So oh, okay. So this is tech company. All right. So yeah, I'm just able to filter for just this is just for the tech company. Okay. So you put your yes and no in the columns here and bring in the actual data to the value side. So you realize that we have 58 for no for female. Those who are working in tech for females is 188, and for males. So you realize that our first visual we did wasn't really right. So what of bringing in the family history here to the values as well? So now we are bringing in multiple things, but let me see if I can. All right. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Doesn't really make sense to use the yes and no's for the columns side. Okay. So if you are just filtering for for just sorry, if you are just visualizing for just the tech company, then you can place the yes and no's at the column side. But here, I want to do the visual for multiple items or multiple columns. So I'm doing for family history, and I'm doing for those who are working in tech. Okay. So for female with family history is 182. Those who are working in tech is 246. Yeah, so just the breakdowns like that. All right. So alright, so realize that here, even though the total survey we had was 1250, but this one is giving us 489, 489, and realize that here it was doing a sum. So if it's zero, that means it won't even add it. So that's how come we have 489. If it's zero, if you check the data here, the family history, whatever is zero won't be added. Okay, if I do a count, let me go to the home tab. I think I can only do accounts in the. Let me filter for just one. Oh, I think the gender is also filtered. That's how come. So let me unfilter for this. So I'll clear the filter here. So now you see that when you scroll down, you have 489. Okay, 489 is for all the ones. So it was basically summing the ones and ignoring the zeros. Okay, so if male, some of them are saying no, doesn't really make any sense to add it to this. It just sums those who said, "Oh, we have family history." Okay, so that is it. And for those working in tech company, males alone we have 990, females 246, and the rest continues like that. You can also bring in other things. So assuming I want to bring in, let's say, those who have done mental health interviews before, or okay, for let's do for those who have treatments first. So I'll add those who have treatment, who have done treatments. So 450, 170, whatever. Then those with, let's say, interviews, that one too is added. realize that whatever I click just goes to the value section. Because if it has a number format, okay, if it has a number type, the values in that column are numbers. Automatically, Power BI put it in the value section for you. You realize that our table is just becoming so long, so you have to rename these things to make sure we have uh, only what makes sense and we can optimize some space. So that's how you rename it. Make sure you are taking notice of this so that and this you'll be using this all the time. So you don't have to get confused with this. Alright, so we have our table in this format. I want to resize it a bit. Yeah. So you have our table. Alright, so those who said they've done mental health interview, we have 44 and for female and 406 for males. And the rest follows like that. And the total was 455 out of the total of 1250. Okay. So this is it. And what again? Maybe let's add those with mental health consequences. It's also long, so I have to rename to make sure that it's better to view. So and that consequence is too long, so let me shorten it. Instead of consequence, let me say effects, something. Alright, so this one too is renamed. Let's ensure that our table is fine. So we have this. So these are the numbers. We have 280 from female, 942. Right, so I think this gives you a good visual of what is happening with this survey and the various among the various gender. Okay, so that is fine. What if I want to, let's say, get this breakdown? Okay, get this breakdown for those who work in tech and those who don't work in tech. I can just copy this table. Okay, I can just do Control C. Okay, and do Control V. Okay, so this table is pasted. It's just like how we did with pivot tables in Excel. Okay, so I'll just reduce this and focus on this. So I want to take this gender thing out and now visualize for those who have uh, those who are working in tech and those who are not working in tech. So I'll take this off. Like that, now giving it the totals for this. So I'll bring in the tech company to the rows section. Okay. So now we have these numbers. We have these numbers. We have these numbers for those who are working in tech and those who are not working in what? Tech. So let's see. Those who are working in tech, are they the ones who are reporting more health mental effects or what? So you realize that those are rather the ones reporting more mental health effects and health interviews as well. It's like they are leading everything. And those working in tech, 1,025 out of the total of 1,250. And those with family history, the tech is also leading as well. So I think this gives us a fair idea of our data and yeah how we can get some insights from it. So I will delete these guys. So now I have these two tables. Let me expand this. Expand this. I have these two tables. Assuming I want to bring in some filters and filter for the various years. Okay, I want to bring in some filters and filter for the various years. So I'll just click outside. Make sure when you are creating a new visual, you click outside of your of the visual. Okay, so this is it. So I've clicked on this visual. If I want to create a new visual, I need to click outside. Okay, so that's Power BI will not this thing is loading. Let me clear this guy. I don't want it. Yeah. So let's put in slicer. So I want a slicer to filter for the various years. So I'll use the year here. I'll click on the year. Okay, I'll change it, the slicer type, to just a drop down here. Okay, then I'm good to go. So here I'll reduce it, and I can pick say 2024. And when you pick 2024, these are the numbers you are seeing. Okay, so 2024, um, let me put it up here so that it's clear to see. Let me reduce this a bit. Okay, so hmm. I think I have to rename these ones a bit. So let's see, bit of family history. I'll just do history. Okay, I'll just do history. And those in tech company, I'll say just tech to create more space. Health interview. Hmm. Okay, I will just leave these two like that. Okay, expand a bit further. Alright, so let's see where you can place our filter or our slicer. I will just reduce it, and alright, so now I should be able to see everything. Let me work on this as well. I will just do this. Spray. I will do this one take. Okay, so this one too is okay. I'm able to see everything. I've filtered for 2014. Okay, I'll clear it. Okay, so when you clear this is all. So when you filter for 2014, see, is it making any changes? Are there some changes happening? So click, you realize that it's changing. Okay, so for those with history, 462 as against 489, 1182 for total of those in tech as against 1250. Okay, so they are filtering for 2014. Let's see 2015. And you see that 2015, the numbers were not that much. And even 2016, the numbers were into the zeros and ones. Okay, so this is basic introduction to Power BI. I think you've come a long way through this session, and we would have to end it here and continue on the weekends. So if you have questions, you are free to ask. If we don't understand other things too, we can just say it so that I will know how to handle it. Alright. So Ivy, do you have any questions? So far you've not done any nice visual. I just want you to have a fair idea how everything work when it comes to designing the visuals. We'll look at it.
Hold on.
Come again.
No, no, sorry.
But do you understand everything?
I'm just, I understood. I'm sorry. I understood to a point. So I think I understood to before you selected the data, you want to work with and inserting the slices. I just went to the kitchen to get something and I came back lost. So
Oh, sorry.
anyway, I'll keep my questions for Saturday
Okay.
and make sure Saturday they are giving all my attention.
Okay, sure. All right.
Power BI is very important today.
Okay, sure. So then,
But I think because of the Power Query we learned earlier, it has made this a bit easier. Or Jeff, it doesn't look
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah, yeah,
complicated as I thought it was.
yeah, sure.
yeah. It has made it quite easy.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
This is just about picking, dragging, and dropping, actually.
Yeah, it's just
But
about.
you have to know what you are picking and
Don't,
dropping.
don't don't worry, you delve into using formulas. Don't worry. There's a programming language called DAX. So
Okay.
yeah, so we use DAX in Power BI as well.
Okay.
Uh, so I'll make the recording available as well. I'll try and process it tonight and post it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. So Saturday at
All
2 o'clock,
right.
right?
yeah, no, let's put it at 3:30, or is it too?
3:30 Ghana time.
Yeah, is it Jeff? Is that one okay for you?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, Ivy, this
It's
fine.
also fine by me.
Oh,
Yeah, it's also fine by
okay,
me.
sure, sure, sure. All right then. See you guys next time.
All right. Good night. Thanks so
Okay, bye
much.
bye.